I'd like to take a look at this last paragraph. In the end, the question of what biological or cultural measures to be imposed upon the group is to be decided from within, not from above. That decision is not ours to make. Once we do, we begin to play God, and that has already been tried more than once. It culminated in a war against the weak. Now, I have a worry, and perhaps the biggest worry with this article is a worry that admits almost everything that the article is trying to argue for. Let's admit, for the sake of discussion, that the American experience with eugenics was a dark and sordid chapter of our history. It was probably far worse than we can imagine. Still, does that mean that all forms of genetic enhancement are morally impermissible? One way to argue yes to that question is to say that all forms of genetic enhancement have a property that is the same property that these dark phases of the American eugenics movement has. Is this what Black is doing when he mentions playing God? Perhaps. Another way to make the answer yes is to suggest that the sorts of genetic enhancements that people nowadays are trying to get, while not immoral in themselves, are nevertheless the sort of thing that puts us on a slippery slope to the truly immoral things. And perhaps the idea is that if the choice is either to stay off the slope entirely versus getting off the slope, versus getting on the slope and sliding to the bottom, even if using the brakes, as his first paragraph suggests, then if the choice is that, then we ought to choose to stay off the slope entirely. Indeed, perhaps it's morally wicked even to get on the slope at all in such a forced choice scenario.